right. Hello.
Hey, everybody.
Let's get, before we start, as this is a round for round battle, we've got to do a little introductions on both of our speakers here. So in the left corner, representing Selenium and specializing in test automation strategies and techniques, a pillar of the global test automation community, a world-renowned speaker and thought leader, often found presenting and teaching at international software conferences, the driving force and director of Test Automation University, a free online educational platform providing test automation courses by leading instructors, and Java champion, Angie Jones. And in the right corner, we have representing Cypress, the challenger that believes learning by doing is the best way to learn something new. And helping others is to learn about JavaScript, React, and the static web through writing, videos on YouTube, and courses on egghead.io. This challenger brings the passion from his work to tackle challenges like high-scale video streaming services, e-commerce with ThinkGeek, satellite dashboards, and developer advocate for Apple tools, Colby Fayock. Yes, are you ready? For all those watching from around the world, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much, Patrice. So there's been a lot of talk about which one of these tools is better, Selenium WebDriver or Cypress. Now, Selenium has been around for ages, definitely owns a lot of the market share in testing tools, but Cypress is has made quite a dent in that and is definitely a formidable challenger. Some of the comments that we saw from you all, Umi says, I'm giving it to Cypress ahead of time. It's smoother than Selenium, in my humble opinion. And she too says, I'll strongly pick Selenium. Robust code base, very easy to understand, fast adoption tool. Mr. Tech Handle says he's putting his money on Cypress, although I know a framework is only as good as its user, but he's going to go ahead and take a gamble. And then Kartik says, before Selenium 4, my bet would have been on Cypress. But now, Selenium might just nudge Cypress. And there have been no shortage of blog posts and articles that kind of read like this: Selenium versus Cypress. Is WebDriver on its way out, right? And that makes a juicy title, but how good is this? So why are we doing yet another comparison when it's been pretty much done to death? In my opinion, I think that a lot of what I've seen online has been very academic, very, kind of feature based, and oh, well, it supports this or it doesn't support that. But Colby and I wanted to take another stab at this, a much different take, where we take the common automation tasks that all of us have to do every day, and let's code it out. Let's see which is the better one. Okay, so this is I'm going to represent Selenium WebDriver in Java. Colby's going to represent Cypress in JavaScript, and I realized that it would have been probably an apples to apples comparison if I did WebDriver with JavaScript. But listen, I'm tired of you JavaScript folks ruling the world. So I'm bringing Java to the table. And it's kind of an extra point in Selenium WebDriver's belt that I could choose, right? I can't choose in Cypress. It's JavaScript only. But what we're going to do is just focus on the APIs. So it shouldn't be much different. Selenium WebDriver in Java versus JavaScript. Okay. So shall we get into it? Let me get into the rules. So the way this is going to work, we're going to have 10 rounds. And we're going to show like a common automation task, and we'll show implementations of that in both Cypress and Selenium, okay? You're going to vote, you the audience. So there will be a poll. We'll let you know when it's time to vote on that round. Listen, you all have to be fair. I know that you all love Colby, or maybe you love Selenium as a tool and you've grown up with it in your career and this is all you've used. No, let's be absolutely fair here and just look at the code. We're going to put it side by side so that you can say which one of these would I actually want to use if I had to implement that scenario. And there's not going to be any butterflies and happy feelings at the end where we're like, oh, they're both so great. No, we're leaving this with a winner. Okay. All right. Post your questions in the question panel as we're showing the code. If there's things there, we'll discuss it after each round. Sound good? All right, let's jump into it. Round one. This one is going to be on element interaction. So we're going to do the typical hello world of test automation, which is to log into an application. So the task here, enter a username, enter a password, click that sign in button, and validate that you've actually logged in. All right. Okay, Colby, you're up first.
All right, so I got you, Cypress fam. This is definitely an easy one for us. So the first thing we need to do, we visit the site with SciVisit. Next up, we get the username and the password fields. We fill it in as we need to with our username and password. We simply click that login button and we just make sure that something there exists that actually validates that we're on the page. Easy peasy.
Very nice, very nice. I especially like this type function here. It's very, intuitive. You type something, right? Also
Exactly.
really like line 8 there where the assertion is really nice and clean. Nice job.
You don't have to
Okay.
remember all those the dot notations of to, be, should.
Yeah. Okay. So mine, round one, Selenium. Okay, so nice and simple too, right? So I need to say find the element, and I'm very expressive here. What do I want to find it by, right? Do I want to find it by ID? Do I want to find it by class name or CSS selector or whatever? I like that I don't have to remember CSS notation all the time. And then my typing is send keys. I'll admit, not the most intuitive name for a method, but hey, gets the job done. And line 7, I go ahead and find that login button. I click it. And then my assertion. So this assertion is actually another tool. I had to use something else. I really liked Colby's implementation where it was just kind of all in one. I think Cypress uses Mocha under the covers, but that's not even apparent, right? I had to actually go and install another tool here to be able to do this assertion. All right, once I did, I need to find that element, get its text, and compare it, okay? All right, so here is the Selenium versus Cypress code side by side. I want you to look at this right now. Go ahead and get your which one you're going to choose, because when the poll comes up, this screen will go away. So go ahead and make your decision. Which one are you going with, Selenium or Cypress for basic element interaction?
Selenium's not too bad, huh?
Let's see. Look like the same number of lines of code here. Yours, I mean, I like yours, but
I don't know. The sci.get is pretty simple.
it is very simple. It is. It is. I'll admit that. But you have to know that. You have to know, like, CSS selector vocabulary, right? um, okay. Patrice, can you put the poll up? I think the folks are ready.
Absolutely. Okay, please submit your response to the poll. And okay. Looks like we've gotten pretty much most of our responses. I'll give it another 10 seconds if you haven't already responded, and then the poll will close. All right, poll is now closed.
All right. Are there any questions, Patrice? Did you see any?
No, we don't have any questions currently.
Okay, good. So
Would you like to share that poll result, or do you want to wait until the end?
What do you say, Colby? Yeah, let's go ahead and show it. Go ahead and show it.
Okay.
Oh.
Wait, I don't see it.
No?
So it looks like we have for round one, Selenium came away with 29% and Cypress with 71%.
That sci.get will get you.
All right, it's still early in the game. Okay, let's move to the next round. Since there's no discussion, I'm gonna go right to round two, which is focused on drop downs. So drop downs are a bit more complex because they contain like options underneath them. So how do we interact with this in both Selenium and Cypress? So this time, I'll go first. This is the select application or little component, right? So I just need to select an option from here and make sure that's selected. So in Selenium, the select object is actually one of its own. It's not a WebDriver object like the other elements are. I import a new package to be able to get access to the select dropdown. And then I say on line 8 to select by value. And then on line 10, I do my assertion. So 11, I'm saying get all of the selected options, which will give me like a list. I say go ahead, get the first one and make sure that it is equal to what I selected on line 8. All right. So yeah, that's my solution. How about you, Colby?
Not bad, not bad, not bad. But when we have our Cypress API, we need to go to that page, which we always do. We can get that element by its ID, and we can simply run the select method. And then we need to just determine if it has the value that we're looking for. That's pretty easy, right?
Yeah, it's pretty clean. I'm not gonna lie.
Yours is not too bad though.
So here is the solution side by side. Go ahead and figure out which one you're gonna like. Mine is not, it's only a couple of more lines. But I'm not gonna lie, like that all-in-one you have there, like where you kind of get it, you select it, and then you verify all in one call. That's pretty slick.
I think that the sci.get method really does a lot of great stuff, like kind of all in one, where it's able to get everything you need.
Yeah. All right, Patrice, go ahead, put up the poll.
Don't be too discouraged. Got to be optimistic.
Okay, if we can have everyone vote in the poll. Also, if you have any questions for this round, go ahead and post them in the questions panel. Angie, Colby, it looks like we had a few questions that came in for round one after the poll had closed. Do you want to try to address some of those now?
Sure. I can't see them. So you might have to pull them out for us.
No problem. So what about the POM model, object model? Why do we have the elements in the same place as the code?
So right now we're not adding any design patterns or anything like that. We're just showing it straight up. It would have been quite difficult to show that spanned across multiple classes like that. So this isn't meant to be like code that we check in or production code or anything like that. We're just straight up showing how to do something, and you can apply your own design pattern. So not everyone is using page object model. For example, the Cypress documentations actually recommend you don't use page object model with Cypress. You use something else. There's also a lot of other design patterns such as screenplay and stuff like that. So we didn't want to commit to like any one given design pattern. We just wanted to show the APIs in use.
Try to make the comparison as fair as possible.
Yeah.
Okay. Another question, can we use ID on Cypress or only CSS?
So the nice thing is when you're using that side.get method, what you're really passing in is a selector. So you can pass in the hashtag and the ID name so that you can get any element by its ID, where since it is a selector, you can also pass in class names, or you can even pass in element names. Really, you're just passing in that selector to grab whatever you want.
Okay. And with Cypress, are you using Jasmine framework?
No, I don't think, Colby, you didn't install anything out of the box to do your assertions, right?
Nope. And I'm not sure if what it uses under the hood for the assertions, but you don't have to install anything out of the box.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it uses Mocha by default.
Okay. Looks like we have a lot of questions coming in through the Q&A panel right now.
Let's get the results for this one.
Okay. And results.
Oof.
Looks like round 2 is going again to Cypress with 85%. Selenium WebDriver got 15% of the vote.
Angie, you're supposed to be making that graph go the other way.
I know, but I mean, fair is fair. I did tell the people to vote fair. I would have voted for Cypress on that one, to be honest.
Fair enough. Pretty
clean. All right. Patrice, hold the questions. We're going to go to round 3. We'll come back to some more discussion. So this one is uploading files. All right. Go ahead, Colby. This is the file picker that we need to choose, right? So you're just uploading a picture of something. Okay. Go ahead.
Cool. So this one actually gets a little bit more complicated when you're trying to use Cypress out of the box. Now you have to first define your image as a fixture, which we can use the default fixture capabilities, but then you gotta kind of hook into some JavaScript rather than just default Cypress capabilities in order to take that image and give it the ability to actually transfer it using the native APIs for JavaScript and attach it to that upload the upload or the file picker button itself. But then once we're able to do that, we're able to grab that item and we can check that it's performing as expected. Or in this case, I'm checking to see if that file is being shown right on the page.
That was a short description for a lot of code, Colby. I mean, this is a disaster. I mean, this is.
Come on, it's not too bad. Not too bad.
This is what nightmares are made of. Look at all of this code. Oh my God. All right. So my solution for Selenium is boom. It's literally one line. The line 3 is just going to the page. Line 4 is like find me the element for the upload and send my picture there. And boom, I'm done. I'm literally done. One line of code. All right.
I gotta hand that one to you.
So here's the code side by side. Yeah, I don't think I have to convince you folks on this one.
I mean, come on, you can use native JavaScript right inside that chainable then function. Think about the possibilities. Think about the possibilities.
Patrice, can we get the poll?
And we still have a lot of questions coming through.
I'm still feeling pretty optimistic about this one.
Yep, we'll give it, looks like most have voted. And all right, we're closing the poll now. Results.
Oof.
Selenium WebDriver has come through with 97%.
Yay! Okay, at least now I know you all are being fair. The 3% who said they want to write a novel to upload a file, I'm convinced they're biased. Okay.
I'm telling you that flexibility.
Yeah. But Colby, go ahead and tell them about the Cypress plugin that they can use so that they don't have to write a novel.
Sure. So again, we wanted to make sure we were comparing kind of the same thing to make it fair, but there is a Cypress plugin that makes it quite a bit easier to actually upload that file. As we can see here, we just simply run that attach file method with the path, and it does pretty much the exact same thing that we did in the other code snippet. So if you do want to go the route of installing a package, which in this instance probably would be recommended, you still have that option.
Yeah, so just to be clear, this is an external plugin. This is not a part of the native Cypress API, which is why he could not post this for the competition. But yeah, to make your life easier, you can choose that. All right, good questions, Patrice. Anything specifically about files, or I want to get those first, and then maybe we could take a couple of other ones.
Okay, let's see. Okay. Would those implementations work with a test protocol file uploads?
A test protocol?
Looks like TUS.
Oh, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I'm not familiar either.
All right. If Selenium can use external libraries, why can't Cypress use something like Cypress file upload?
That's what Colby just showed. I didn't show any external libraries other than the assertion, which is not part of the comparison. Cypress is also using another assertion tool under the cover. They've just made it really integrated very nicely. But yeah, that's why we couldn't use that one to compare.
Yeah, I think it's fair that you were able to add that assertion library because, like you said, Cypress comes bundled with it. So probably the flexibility. Are you able to choose what assertion library you use? Because that gives you better flexibility for whatever you prefer.
Yeah. I think you can switch yours out with Cypress too. It's just a manual step to do so, of course.
Can you use Cypress or Selenium to import files in Azure and validate them?
Import files in Azure. I don't know. Colby, do you know?
So if you're just talking about setting up a fixture, I would imagine that wherever you're running it, as long as you have access to the environment where that file exists in that same environment as Cypress, you would point to that file. I think there's not 100% clear on the question, but I would imagine if you're running a similar environment, you can attach fixtures wherever, as long as they're available.
Okay.
All right, one more, and then I'm going to go to the next round.
All right, next one. And trying to jump around through here. What is the name of this plugin? The one that was just shared.
Yeah, I think it's called Cypress. I'll find the exact name.
Cypress file upload, I think it's called.
Yeah, yep. It's on NPM Cypress file upload.
Okay.
All right. So round 4. Let's get into some frames. Okay. So this is the page of the iframe. There's actually 2 here. One iframe is embedding another page that's on the same domain. And the second one is embedding like a YouTube video. So of course that's from a different domain. How do we handle these in Selenium and Cypress? So for Selenium, same domain. Let's focus on lines 5 through 7. So I get my Selenium object, the driver. I say switch to frame, give it the name of the frame, and then I can then get inside of there. So that fruits vegetable, that element is actually inside of the frame. So once I switch to the frame, I can interact with anything inside of that frame. Okay.
Okay, not bad, not bad.
Yeah, pretty straightforward.
Okay, so it's a little tricky with Cypress, but I still think it's a great way to expose the underlying features of Cypress. So once you get that initial iframe by its ID, you can access it with the content document where you want to access also the body of that iframe, where at that point you can wrap it up with Cypress, the wrap method, and then you are at it where you can access it and do whatever you need to, like find that fruits vegetable ID just like before and make sure that it's visible.
Colby, is this what they call a custom command?
So this itself isn't a custom command, but the cool thing about Cypress is you can absolutely create a custom command. So if you're doing somewhat similar things every single time, you can set it up. So for instance, maybe you can create a command that says sci.get iframe, where you can pass in the selector of that iframe, and you can be able to do all this within that just one method.
What is on this line 8, this sci.wrap? What does that do?
So the specifics, I don't know how to describe, but essentially it wraps it in the kind of like what you would expect with the sci.get when you're getting that element by ID. You're kind of wrapping it so that you have access to the Cypress API.
Okay, so that kind of bundles all of that stuff up into the iframe essentially.
Exactly, because when you're going in, you're grabbing it by its ID, and then you're basically digging down into that iframe body and then wrapping it so that you can look into it.
All right, that's a little ugly. All right, so how about cross domain? So for Selenium, guess what? Same thing. Doesn't matter if it's same domain or if it's cross domain. You use the exact same solution here. You switch.
I didn't know we were doing a part B of this test. I didn't know we were doing part B.
We are, and here's yours.
What? Come on, I thought we were only looking at that same site. What's going on here? So unfortunately, due to the limitations of the browser security policies, we're not actually able to access the iframe content for a cross-origin iframe. Bummer.
All right, so just to be clear here, Selenium, whether it's same site or cross site, it got you covered. Cypress, a little uglier for same site, but at least they can do it. And no support for cross-domain iframes. All right.
Come on, who here is testing your YouTube videos on your page? We don't need any of that.
All right, Patrice, can we get the poll?
Okay, and while votes are coming in, question was, can Cypress plugin work under Jenkins also if triggered from there?
I don't see why not. I would expect you to be able, as long as you have the environment set up that Cypress can run, I would expect really anything that Cypress has a capability of. Of course, there's probably limitations on that, but since it's an NPM package and you just set it up inside of I think it's the plugins file for Cypress, I wouldn't expect there to be any issues.
Okay. Another, can we directly tap into the body in Cypress rather than traversing through?
So I might have been able to combine those two lines. When I was playing around with it, I feel like I ran into an issue, but it might have just been an issue that wasn't relevant to it. But I think if anything, it would have only been able to collapse those two lines because you have to access through the content document.
Okay. All right, I'm going to close the poll and results.
Oof.
Selenium WebDriver takes the round.
Yay!
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. All right, good. Okay, Patrice, you want us to take one more question?
Sure. Let's see. How about, does Cypress integrate with the BDD tool like Selenium does with SpecFlow?
I don't know that answer. Do you know that, Angie?
I don't. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So I just had to Google it. But yeah, it does. So it says like how to set up Cucumber with Cypress. So yeah. All right, good. Okay, next round. We're gonna look at weighting. Now, I know that Cypress automatically waits for elements that you need to interact with. People will say like, oh, that's one of the reasons why Cypress is better than Selenium, not realizing that Selenium kind of have that same functionality as well. It's like you do have to write like one line or whatever. When you start the WebDriver, you can say like, kind of wait for things up till a certain amount of time. So you could add that into your Selenium test. But when these frameworks, and all of them do this, talk about like, oh yeah, we handle waiting for you so you don't have to. That's not always true, because there's cases where you're not necessarily interacting with something, but you're verifying something. You have to wait until it's in that state of verification. So right here, for example, if you notice, typing in something, there's a slight delay before the books actually filter here. And in any of the tools that I've used Selenium, Cypress, Playwright, all of these tools, none of them would be able to handle this by default, because they don't know that I'm waiting until the books have filtered, right? That's something I have to explicitly express within the code. So how do we do that in Cypress versus Selenium? Colby, you want to take the Cypress one?
Yeah, sure. And I think the interesting thing there is because it's being done client side as opposed to like a request-based filtering where you could probably wait on the request, right? So how do we do it that client side? So in this example, we can take advantage of the UI elements that are being added and removed from the bookstore. So we can first type in that testing string. We can check to make sure that it's not the length of all those items that contain the UI screen hidden class are not equal to 0. So we're basically making sure that we're going through, we're grabbing all the list elements that have that class name, checking the length of it, and making sure that it's not equal to 0. And then we can go through and check that the list elements that don't have the UI screen hidden is equal to 1, essentially showing us our result.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. All right. So in Selenium, focusing on lines 6 through 9, what we have here is, classes specifically designed for waiting, right? Which I really love that that's available. So I create an instance of WebDriver wait, and I tell it how long I want to wait until, right? And this is wait up until. This is not a hard wait of 5 seconds, for example. This is wait for some condition to be met up until 5 seconds. So if that condition is met in 1 second, that's good, and it'll stop waiting. Okay. So then I can express the condition that I specifically want to wait for. So I want to wait for the presence of this element, which you can find by giving it the CSS selector. So I'm essentially saying wait until there's some books that are hidden on the screen. Okay. So in comparison, what I like that I have the class that's dedicated to waiting. I like that I can specify conditions to wait for. What I don't like in the Cypress is this is essentially like an assertion with the expect, right? So I guess if that timed out, this would maybe fail the entire test. Is that true,
I think
Colby?
so. I would think
Yeah.
so. But look at all those classes you have to add. Look at all that code you have to add. That's just a nice little line with my get and checking the assertion.
All right, Patrice, can we get the poll?
Okay, so questions that we have coming through. Does Cypress have a execute JavaScript method function?
No, you're writing it in JavaScript, so you just hit it with the JavaScript. Just write it in line. And I think they're asking that because Selenium has one. I don't know if it has it in the JavaScript binding itself, but it definitely is in the Java binding. Where if I need to run something, that's not supported by the framework, there is an execute JavaScript method that I can use to get done whatever I need to get done, or basically implement the thing myself. Since, that's what the browser understands, I can just directly interact with the browser myself via the JavaScript. I don't think you need that in Cypress because you can just write the JavaScript in the JavaScript file.
Yeah, so there are both an exec and invoke methods on Cypress, but I found a lot of the times the recommended approach is running, because Cypress is kind of asynchronous in nature, like being able to add a then statement to the end of like a Cypress get, for instance, will allow you to hook into that element and perform some of the complex JavaScript-based things that you need to do, such as when we were looking at my awesome file picker example, where we were able to tap into the data transfer.
Patrice?
Okay, so now I'm going to close this poll out and share the results.
Ooh, closer.
Close there, but Selenium WebDriver once again takes the round.
I guess everybody likes writing those classes up, huh?
you like to know what's going on, right? You like to be able to add conditions and stuff like that. All right. Patrice, do we need to do any more, or should we move to the next round?
I think we should move to the next round.
All right. So alerts are in this round, and this is the app. You essentially click this trigger alert button and it'll pop up. If you were to click the confirmation, you would get like OK and cancel buttons. And if you were to click the prompt, you would get a text field on the alert as well as the OK and cancel buttons. So for Selenium, I showed 3 different tests of how you handle accept, dismiss, or OK and cancel, and also the prompt. So for accept, line 9 is driver.switch to. You switch context from the main DOM to the alert, and then you say accept it. For dismiss, line 15, switch to the alert, and then you dismiss it. So that would be anything negative. So no or cancel or anything like that handles that. And then for prompting, go to line 21. I switch to the alert. 22, I do a send key. So remember, this is how you type, and I can type in there. And then finally, I can click the button accept or dismiss. Colby.
Okay, not bad. So with Cypress, what we want to do is we want to listen to the window alert and actually mock up what that's going to look like. So when we actually click that alert button to pop up the alert, we're going to listen for the on window event, and we're going to chain a function as an argument onto there so that we can expect that that text is actually containing what we want it to contain. And similarly, when we go to the confirm, we're doing a pretty similar thing where we're passing in the window confirm, but this time we want to check that it contains that message, but then we can return false, which will essentially cancel out that confirmation. And then finally, if we want to check the prompt, it's a little bit different. It doesn't have that default window, like the window confirm and window alert. So we're going to actually use the side.window, and we're going to stub out that prompt to what we want it to return, and then we can click it. So not too bad, pretty short. I think I'm feeling pretty confident about this one.
Did you say not too bad? You have to stub stuff out? Oh my God. And I have a question. So like on the first test you have there, let's look at like 9 lines 10 through 11. Where do you say okay or yes or whatever?
So with Cypress, it'll automatically select that okay when the prompt actually, or when the alert actually comes up. So similarly with window confirm, if you want it to click okay, you're just going to remove that return false, and it would automatically click that okay. So that's why we're adding that return false, so that it's actually canceling out of it. It gives you a lot of control. It gives you a lot of control.
All right, so here is the comparison. Selenium, really straightforward. They have APIs specifically to handle this sort of thing. Cypress looks like they gotta mock some stuff up and kind of fake it. I don't know. Colby says he has control and power.
It's all about that control and flexibility.
What do y'all think? Let's get a poll, Patrice.
Okay, while polls being answered, question, Selenium, do you need to switch back to your main content after closing the alert?
No. So after closing the alert, you're automatically switched back to the main theme. With frames, however, you do need to switch back. So if you go inside of a frame and start interacting, you do need to switch back to parent to come back to the main DOM. But for alerts, no, you have that alert object, and then you do whatever you want to do. And then when you're ready to, work back with the regular page, you just go ahead.
Okay. Does Cypress have a way to test native mobile apps?
I don't believe so. I think it's web-based.
Both of these are web-based tools.
Yeah, but Selenium, like there's versions of Selenium that you can do apps, right?
There's like Appium, which is like Selenium for mobile, but
Okay.
separate project.
Okay. Can Selenium do more extensive assertions on the alert objects, such as what the prompt will say?
Colby?
Oh, sorry. I thought I heard Selenium. That was a Cypress question. Sorry about that.
Was it Cypress?
It was Selenium.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay, yeah. So can you get the stuff from the screen? Yeah, there's an alert.getText method. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I've closed the poll and the results. 84% believe Selenium took that one.
Yeah.
Come on, team. What's going on here?
All right, very nice. Okay, let's see. Let's go to the next round. This one is on navigation. Okay, so this is some links. The first one will open the same domain in another tab. And then the second one will open a different domain in another tab. But basically, we're opening domains. We're opening a new tab with some link. All right. So let's start with Cypress.
You're setting me up here. You're setting me up for failure.
Colby, explain to the people what's going on.
So Cypress's official position is that it will never support being able to manage multiple tabs the way that they have it set up, and they don't think that that's a browser feature that they think that it's testing a browser feature as opposed to something as a part of your application. So what they recommend and what I've seen in blog posts is that people basically grab the href from a link and go to that in the same browser instance, which isn't quite the same, especially with dealing with things like the window security and such. But I'm telling you, you're setting me up for failure here.
Nah. All right. Well, Selenium does give you that option because they realize that it's a part of navigation. Like you're not essentially trying to test that, but hey, you might need to, your app does something and opens in a new tab and you need to go there and continue on with the user flow, right? So to do this, we start on line 5. Well, on 4, we click the button, which opens the new tab. On line 5, what you'll say is, give me all of the window handles. And this will give you a set of all of the windows that are open, windows or tabs, works with both. You can do tab, you can do new window, either one, it works. And then once I have all the window handles, I'm just going to loop through them to switch to the last one that's been opened. And that's it. Once I'm over there, I can continue on asserting things. I'm good to go. All right. So here is the comparison. Patrice, let's get the poll.
I need my Cypress fam to give me support here. This was a setup job.
Should we do a poll or she's going to run it? Okay. I was gonna say we probably
Should we do a poll?
Yeah. um,
Really just
looks like
digging
all
in
the
there, aren't you?
answers have pretty much come in. I'm going to close this poll. Wait, we've got a couple more coming in. 78% have voted. Get your last votes in. 3, 2, 1. Poll is closed. Share results.
See, people have my back. People have my back.
what?
12%.
12% think, oh yeah. I don't need to go to another tab.
So to be fair, like there definitely are features. Like I'm imagining if you're creating like a pop-up from your site for something like authentication, right? Or just, something. I feel like there should be a way to be able to, because there's different security policies for opening up those new tabs, right?
Yeah. But not even like that's a really valid scenario. But not even the testing. Like I think their stance on, well, you shouldn't be testing browser implementation. I'm not trying to test browser implementation, but I do need to move over to this new tab, and I don't want to have to go through the trouble of like openings. I don't know, what do you got to open it in your same thing or whatever? I don't like that.
And then you would lose the original session, like if you need to keep both sessions.
Yeah. All right. So this next one, we're going to talk about API requests. So this is the application. It's Tenor, has stickers, has GIFs. Is it GIFs or GIFs? No, I'm going to say both of them.
This is another battle. It's a GIF.
GIF. GIF is what I believe, but I say GIF sometimes. But yeah, so this is the link at the bottom. That's the API request. So we're going to start off with Selenium. I got my first buzz. Selenium does not handle API requests, right? That's not what this was built for. It automates browsers. This is from their website. Selenium automates browsers. That's it, right? And so it only handles that sort of thing. Okay. Colby with Cypress.
I'm telling you, this is where that power and flexibility comes in. So look at this. I'm able to visit the page. I'm able to kick off a very simple side.request to the Tenor API. And then I can chain on a then there where I make sure that the UI is working as it's expecting with the image URL from that response. Cake.
All right. I don't have any comments. Patrice, you can run the poll. That is nice to be able to do, your browser stuff and your request stuff all in one. I will say I subscribe to this sort of methodology. And I have to use like an external library to do so. So Rest Assured is my favorite one. And I just kind of couple that all within my Java code. So I might run a request and then I use Selenium for the browser stuff. So it's possible, but again, we're only comparing these two APIs, Selenium and Cypress. So that wouldn't have been fair for me to include that in. But it's really nice that Cypress allows you to do requests with their tool.
For sure.
Okay. And the results? Cypress with 91%.
Who's that 9% still giving you love for that? Come on.
All right.
Okay.
Patrice, can we answer one or two questions?
Yes. Does Cypress have packages that can interact with native mobile apps like Appium?
I don't know that answer. I'm not aware of any, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there aren't any.
Yeah, that's kind of complicated. It's like saying, can we use Selenium and Appium? Like, can we use Cypress and Appium? Like, just use Appium. I don't know what that would get you to mix the two.
Okay. Can you intercept the requests and test APIs without sending the request to backend with Cypress?
Can you intercept the requests? So basically mocking requests. I'm pretty sure you're able to mock requests. Yeah. I think that's a different can of worms for sure, but you should be able to mock requests so that you're not actually hitting that back end.
Okay, one more quick question. In the file upload example, can you speak as to why it was necessary to dispatch the change events in Cypress?
So I don't know the exact answer to that. That
They
was
don't
kind of
have it
like,
available because there's no
yeah.
API and you got to work hocus pocus to get it to work.
So this might not be right, but like my understanding and my impression is that it needs to dispatch that change event to update the UI with so that it knows that it has that file. But again, that's just my speculation.
Okay.
All right, next round. Screenshots. Okay, so we have this table here, and it's a sortable table. So you can click on any of these columns. We've clicked on name to sort this in ascending order, and we want to just take a nice little screenshot. So Colby, how do we do this in Cypress?
Sure. So just a few lines, simply get that button and click it to make sure that we're sorted the way we want it, and sci.screenshot. Simple enough.
Very nice, very clean. For Selenium, not bad either. We click the button, line 5, also a one-liner. So we need to cast the WebDriver to a take screenshot object or a class or whatever. So we basically made that a take screenshot. And from there, we get some methods such as get screenshot as, and then we can specify what do we want to save this output as. So you can save it as like bytes if you wanted to do like more processing on it. We want to save it as a file if we're going to do the screenshot. And so that's the line. So both one-liners. Here's the
Not bad,
comparison.
not bad.
Not bad. I will admit that just screenshot that doesn't require much thinking,
I
whereas
mean, if we're counting characters here.
not even characters, but like the cognitive load, I would say. Like I need to cast to a different kind of object, and then I need like that method name isn't like the best. And then I need to decide, okay, what kind of output I want it is. Hey, I'm
Are you
working.
trying to talk people? I was about to say, are you trying to talk people out of voting for you?
No. Can we get the polls, Patrice?
This one, I would
Okay,
imagine
so
this one's a little bit more even though. Oh, good.
let's see for questions. Um, let's see, where is the screenshot saved by default in Cypress?
Damn, I was hoping nobody asked that.
So there's actually a screenshots folder, like right inside of the Cypress. So like when you install Cypress, there's a Cypress directory at the root of your project, and right inside of there should be a screenshots folder that it gets saved to, and you're able to customize that to the location that you'd like.
Okay, and how does screenshot work on long pages? Does it screenshot the whole page or only the viewport?
Oh, that's a great
That's a
question.
great. Yeah, I don't know the exact answer to that.
I don't know either.
My guess would be because you have access to the native JavaScript APIs that you should be able to capture, like you might be able to have flexibility for what you capture. I can try to look it up.
All right. Can you choose the format to save the file as like a JPEG or a PNG for Selenium or Cypress?
Yeah, so with the you would have to add another line. When you say, let me go back and look at the code. Yeah, okay. So when you say put it as a file, you can store that into an object, and then you could do like some more kind of Java programming then. So you could move it to another location. You would have like a handle to that file. You can change the name and the extension and stuff like that. So I don't remember what it saves as originally. I don't remember if it's PNG or JPEG, but you can change the name when you move it.
And just to answer the other question, it looks like by default Cypress captures the entire page, but there's an option to set right inside for whether you want to clip something or if there's something specific like just the viewport as opposed to the full page. And I don't know that you can change it to a different file. I'm not seeing that option, but that doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't exist.
Okay.
There we go.
Well, the winner of that round is Cypress.
And one thing I did want to
77%.
add to that, and I didn't think it would be fair to add as part of the poll because we are like actively taking screenshots, right? So another cool thing about Cypress is anytime when you're running it in run mode, anytime that there's an error, Cypress will actually automatically capture a screenshot. So you don't have to even worry about that if you're just looking for errors.
Yeah.
So if I would have said that, we'd probably be closer to 100, right?
I'm surprised it was such a difference. I expected a little bit more on the Selenium one, but whatever. Okay, last round. This one is integration. So we showed like how to take a screenshot, and Colby even said like on a failure, right? It'll automatically take a screenshot for you, but you know, you have to go in and kind of manually look at that screenshot and see what's going on. What if you could have the screenshot as part of your test? Like it actually verifies that the screenshot looks okay. So we're going to integrate this with visual testing with Applet tools. So we're going to take that same table, and there's a lot going on this table, right? When you sort this, you have to make sure that not just that column is sorted, but that everything stayed intact with the rows as well. So in Selenium, looking at lines 6 through 9, I'm using Applet's eyes. And so I just instantiate a new eyes instance. I open my eyes, and then I do check window. So this check window is what's going to take the picture, and it'll save that picture, and it's going to compare it with, like, every time I run this test again, it'll compare the images to see if there's any difference. So that's pretty slick. And then I close my eyes. Cypress.
Well, if we're talking about slick, we can look here and see that when we click the column, I can come in here. I don't even need to set up a new class. I can open up my eyes, check that window, and then close it right back up. About the same, but I'd wager Cypress is a little cleaner here.
I like that it has it's a part of Psy, which makes it feel, you know, more intuitive. All right.
Yeah, the
So
custom
here's
commands make things nice.
I like mine. I think they're about even, and if I were being honest. But
Yeah,
hey.
I think that's fair.
All right,
Both of the
so
APIs are SDKs are pretty intuitive.
yeah.
Okay. So the question is, can Cypress also detect if there is an error in the API side and take a screenshot?
So in that instance, would it be an error? So I think either way, what you're doing is you can listen for that request. So I believe you're still using that side.request, but you're basically saying that you want to save that whatever that response is, and then you should be able to check what that response is. I don't know if it would automatically take a screenshot if it's an API error without causing a Cypress error, but you should be able to use the screenshot tool, you know, programmatically however you'd like. So if you're listening for that particular error, once you see that it's not the correct status, you should be able to throw that. Or you could probably, if you're adding it into an assertion, that should trigger that error for you, which should capture that screenshot.
There are a couple questions about, can you capture video in the same way as screenshots?
So with Cypress, it definitely allows you to record with video as well. I don't know if it's the same exact situation where it's automatic recording. For the way that it works with errors and stuff, it might be the same kind of deal. But you can definitely control whether or not the recording is saved or not.
Okay.
Nice.
And the results of the poll, Cypress
Close
comes
one.
away with 63%.
All right, not bad. Okay, so that was all 10 rounds. Patrice, can you tally up and let us know who is the winner?
Okay, so for Cypress took away round 1, round 2, round 8, round 9, and round 10. Selenium took away round 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And the winner is a tie.
No, that's cheesy.
What?
I didn't want a tie. That's why I let you all vote, because I didn't want a tie. But
That's hilarious.
I know that does go to show that both of these tools, you know, they're strong tools. They have their purposes and their places. Some of them, some of the features are better in one of the tools and some in the other. gosh, I wanted drama, you know?
You'll
This
even
is
notice we don't
nice.
have a slide showing the winner because we didn't know who it was yet.
Right, exactly. That's why we want you all to vote. But yeah, okay. I'll live with that. I wanted like, you know, a little bit of drama, a little something, something. But yeah, that's fair. Okay,
Now,
so
maybe we can take
good
the percentages when we send out the recorded link for the webinar. We can try to see if we can take out the percentages of each round and see if that maybe would possibly give a nudge one way
Ooh.
or the other if we averaged it out.
let them both be winners. I like them both, and I don't want either vendor upset with me. No, I like them both. They're both good tools. Yeah, whatever. Okay. Good job, Kobe. Good
Thanks, you
job.
too. Selenium's not too bad, right?
Yeah, thank you everyone for voting and jumping in. I have a couple of quick announcements. So we have launched the automation cookbook. If you haven't heard of this, definitely save it to your bookmarks. Like these little snippets that we gave today, we're making short, 5-minute or less videos that show you how to do these things in both Selenium and Cypress. So when you're like doing your coding, you say, oh, I got to upload a file. How do you do that again? Come on over to appletools.com/cookbook. Patrice has put in a link in the chat. Go ahead and click that, save it as a bookmark. When you need these little quick recipes on how to do something, this is your go-to spot. And then also, just to show that I do have love for Cypress, we are actually partnering with Cypress to bring to you a front end test fest virtual event on June 8th. This is going to be an amazing conference. It's co-sponsored by Applitools and Cypress. We're going to talk about all things front-end testing, okay? I'll be speaking there. Colby will be speaking there. Lots of other people will be speaking there. Go ahead and go to frontendtestfest.com where you can register for this free event. It's going to be amazing, okay? All right, so that's all I have. Colby, Patrice, did you have anything?
No,
That's
I was
all we
surprised at how
have
well
here.
Selenium was able to do.
Oh, wow. I'm not surprised. Um, Yeah, and just to let you all know, you are the first people that I have told about this conference. So exclusive invitation for you all. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for your wonderful
Thanks,
questions.
everybody.
The ones that we didn't get to answer, we may revisit with a blog post or something like that. The recording for this will be available. Patrice will send that out to you all since you registered. Pass it along to other folks as well. Okay. Thanks,
All
everybody.
right.
Thanks all.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Angie. Thank you, Cole. Thank you, Colby. Great job. See you guys on the next one. Bye.